Sabaidi is the way, a Lao way to say hello to everybody. So we just learned the stories from Hong Kong, from Cambodia. Now we changed to Laos. By the way, my name is HongThong. I work for Village Focus International. I'm from Laos, a small city, small country, not very far from Hong Kong. This is my first time in Hong Kong, but I can see in many ways Laos and Hong Kong are like different planets. I was born and grew up in Vientiane, the capital city of Laos. It's small, but it's quite place. It's a center for commercial and politics, but it doesn't reflect the country as a whole, where more than 80% of the people live off the land in rural area. You could say I'm a communist baby. I was born in 1975, just months before communist revolution in Laos, Vietnam, and Cambodia. This is my photo taken on the day of 10th anniversary of communist revolution in Laos. That is me. Buddhism is central part of Lao people life. Everybody believes Buddhism. This is my father. He's a great father. His ideology, his life influenced much of my behavior, my belief. He was a monk when he was just 15. It was only way for him and other people in rural areas in the 50s and 60s to get a quality education. So he was a monk until he finished graduate degree from India in the late 60s, and then became a government official. I love him. But sometimes we had some conflict of interest. He wanted me to be a doctor, to care for the health of people and also family members. But that is what I wanted me to be. But you know what? What I ended up doing is this. It sounds like serious. Look at my face. Because I don't have many choices at that time, even early 90s. But I was lucky enough to get a scholarship to study agriculture in Thai University. When I finished, I thought that I was a big shot. I should have a good job in a capital city where I live and I grew up. But no, nobody would hire me. And I ended up working in the far north, near border with Vietnam, not very far from China. So I worked on agriculture with ethnic peoples. In Laos, a small country like that, people 6.5 million, there are more than 50 ethnic groups. So I worked some of those groups. I love it. It was a great experience. Sometimes I also work with exotic people like this guy. It was great. But you know what? Over almost a year, I got malaria for 10 times. It was just too much for me. I need to get away from this area, otherwise I would die. So I went back to Vientiane, where I live, where I grew up, with the hope to settle there and work there. I started working with Village Focus International, which is the brand new NGO found in Laos. So they were seeking a new young dynamic guy to work with at that time. But while trying to get away from malaria-infested north, they sent me to far south, to another malaria-infested south. Wow, what happened to my life? It sounds like I couldn't get away from malaria. Anyway, I committed to the VFI work because I feel like VFI gave me a great opportunity to explore my life further, get more experience to become a general leader. More importantly, it gave me opportunity to find the true love. I met a VFI girl, Gong Sang, her name, my wife. She became later a head of VFI fight against human trafficking program. Here we go, we are a human rights-based family, ready to go. Over the past 8 years, we have created our own human resources. Thank you. So 3 kids is enough. So we are happy. So my role at VFI evolved over time. At first years at VFI, pretty much focusing on service delivery, building schools, providing some health care, clean water, and also good agricultural practices. Over pretty short time, it was clear to us that a lot of people that we work with heavily relying on forest, river, and land. For these people, forest is everything. It's like a supermarket, like in Hong Kong, where people can find everything for their daily survival. They can find food for every meal. They can find medicine when they get sick. They can find supply materials for building houses. And forest is the thing that protects them from natural hazards, everything. They can find everything from the forest. So for them, land rights to access land and forest and resources is critical, is crucial, is more important than anything, any issues. Land issue in Laos is complex. It's very complicated. But in order to make you easy to understand, allow me to give you a specific story of one village in upland of southern part of Laos. The village that that I'm talking about, name is Pachutai village. It's like other 1,000 villages across the country, but located along the Ho Chi Minh Trail, which is the part that Vietnam North used to fight against Vietnam South. So this village located exactly right in the middle of this trail. They're all poor. They're all part of the ethnic groups called Katang and Taoi. They live off the land. They use forests for everything. We can see millions of unexploded bombs scattered around. So Laos was the most heavily bombed country in the history of the world during Vietnam War. Right now, you see the red dots there, all unexploded bomb underground, dropped by American during Vietnam War, covering more than around 1/3 of the country's areas. This is a big issue. So we spent months working with the community, with the Pachutai village people, on land use planning, which is the process that gives power to the village people to handle, to manage the old land within the village territorial. So the process identifies village boundary and categorize the different land use zones within the village boundary. At the end of this process, village people will receive a legal document called Land and Forest Management Agreement signed by government official at the district level. Not long after this process, a Vietnamese logging company entered the village with a legal document, official document, to cut off the conservation forest specified by the land use planning process. They spent, after months of back and forth, the Vietnamese logging companies tried their best to convince the village people to log off the conservation forest. Finally, the village people said strongly to them, no, we cannot give permission to you, because it is not just the conservation forest, but it is the spirit forest. So cutting down the trees within this forest will damage us, damage our ancestors, and damage our future generations to come. Without this forest, we can't just simply survive. So these stories tells us how important for those people to understand and to have rights and to understand their rights to access land, forests, and rivers and resources. So this is a story that brings us to focus more on land issues. But we realize that there are more complex issues that affects people to access land and resources. Some issues are government policy itself, whether it recognizes the rights of the people clearly. Foreign investment in lands that tend to take away huge area of land away from local people. Land use planning, whether it conducted properly, and other issues like unexploded bombs. What we have to do in order to make sure that village people have a right to their own land and natural resources. The simple question is that, how can we do that? How can we make sure the village people have a right to their own land? We have to do something. The lesson learned from Pachutai village led us to the development of the first and only one comprehensive legal document, legal guidebook, that pulled together all articles of existing law and regulations of land related to land and forestry. Identifies 6 main categories of rights. And these 6 main categories of rights are written in very simple and easy way to understand. And all articles that support this 6 main category of rights will be in the annex part. People will go and see and go to the annex part and can see. This is the main tool that is being used by civil society members and government officials across the country and used to develop the easy and friendly materials for people like village community who a lot of people are illiterate to absorb, to digest, like community radio, community theater, flip chart, poster, and other things. And the story in Pachutai and this legal guidebook led us to the development of the strategic land rights program called Rights Link Laos. The link here is an acronym stand for land, information, networking, knowledge. This is the strategic program that aims to make sure the village people have rights, understand their rights, and their rights get respected. This is a timely and also important project in a situation where investment has been increasing substantially over the last 10 years. Up to now, worth more than $20 billion US, mainly in the sector of mining, hydropower, and plantations. These type of investments tend to take away a lot of land, huge area of land from local people, and tend to create a negative impact to the environment. We need to do something. We need to make sure that the investment bring about the positive rather than negative. What we can do in the future, even now and in the future, we need to talk and work with the policymakers at all levels, like National Assembly members, to change the way the investment happens in Laos. We know that it's not easy at all. We know that it is a challenging issue, especially in the context where people in Laos don't want to talk about a serious issue like corruption, or transparency, or governance issue. But believe that we have learned some lessons to guide us in the future. First lesson is that we know that rights is really important in this context, land rights in particular. So we will continue to talk about land rights to make sure that everybody understands their rights and their rights get respected in the future. The development is not our enemy, but bad development is. We will work to make sure that we have a good development, and we'll make sure that the voice of development get heard in the future. Development companies, when they come in, they have to see farmers or local village people as a people, not as non-people, or difficulties that they need to deal with only. So we need to be willing to work with them, respect their rights, talk to them, and trying to find out what their needs are. Finally, people like you in Hong Kong or in China or other countries where the development come from need to understand that it is part of your problem too. We believe that it is your responsibility. You need to make sure that you bring in the positive impact rather than just reaping the profits back to your countries. Just to close, even though I was not able to follow my father's dream to become the doctor to care for people's health, but I care for the well-being of the people by helping them to understand their rights and responsibility. Even though I was not able to follow my own dream to be an architect, to design houses and buildings, but we are designing tools like legal guidebook and strategies like land rights projects that help them to secure their rights to access land and natural resources. That is all about, and this is within the customs and law of Laos. Thank you very much.